This episode of the Off-Road Podcast is sponsored by Warren Medical Gear Outfitters and Colby Valve.
Off-Road Podcast, episode 407, Cline Butte's Trail Review.
Tonight, Aaron makes a solid connection. Coy zooms in, and Ben plays tow truck.
Welcome to the Off-Road Podcast, the podcast about off-road. Wow. Did you change that?
What happened, Ben?
You changed.
Try it again. Try it again. You just got to read the words. That's all you got to do, man.
I don't do good with change. Welcome to the Off-Road Podcast. Today we'll be exploring the off-road world. Whether you like crawling up rock ledges or enjoy exploring the back roads with your family, stay with us to hear industry interviews, off-road news, and topics of interest to every guy and girl who craves the outdoors as seen through the windshield. Your hosts tonight are Aaron, Coy, and my name is Ben. And welcome to the show. And wow, I managed to get through it.
I thought I'd give us a little throwback. That was a little vintage intro I came across today when I was going through some of our old stuff.
Man, throw me for a loop.
I know.
Really, you killed it though, Ben. I'm proud of you. That was
you
last big change, and you did as good as that as you, or better than you normally do with the average standard one we have. So I'm proud of you.
You did better than our president. I'll give you that.
Yeah, saying bad.
You and Corn Pop.
Yeah,
dog face, pony soldier. I finally did it, guys. I finally did it. I finally ordered a scope.
Yeah, for your FJ?
No. For my 6.5 that I bought last November.
Okay.
So
yeah.
What'd you get?
Picked up a scope. I'm super proud of myself. I got a Vortex. Let's see, a Razor HD LHT 4.5 by 22.
Not terrible at all.
That'll reach out.
It better be really good because it was not cheap. But
did you eyeball the glass beforehand? Did you get a look through it and see if you liked what it looked like?
Yes and no. I went in and looked at. They didn't have that exact one. They had the one power below, so 3 by 18.
Mm-hmm.
And had some quality time with that, and then went
Same
online
reticle?
and ordered it. What was that, Ben?
Was it the same reticle and all that too?
Different reticle, but I looked in it. I saw everything I needed to, just not all in one scope. It took multiple tries and stuff. So
Gotcha.
I think I'm going to be happy with it. I'm sure that I'll still be a terrible shot, and Aaron will beat me at his own competition next time we have it. But
he cheats.
It won't be my gun or the scope's fault. I'll have no one to blame but myself and Aaron.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out where I'm going camping for Memorial Day weekend. Think about just going down to the mall, popping up the rooftop tent, catching some early deals.
Yeah, Portland.
You're not wanting to go to. I thought you were going to hit up the Home Depot parking lot. You changed your mind already?
Well, midday I'll take a trail to Overland Depot.
Okay.
And
okay.
Then maybe someplace else. Got a couple trails that I'm working on. Got to get my routes down and stuff.
Gotcha.
Urban wheeling.
Okay. You last time you went snow wheeling, you made that map and it showed where you drove and everything. You're gonna do one of those so we can all see your elevation gain and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. See all the lights I sit at. I'll snap some pictures. Be sitting there. Probably picture me handing a homeless person a $2 bill or something.
Sandwich.
Yeah,
$2 bill.
hand him a burger so I can get it thrown back in my face.
There you go.
But, no, that's not all I've been up to.
Seriously though, you have some spots in mind, or are you going to keep it a secret so nobody else shows up out there?
Well, I have a few spots in mind. We're thinking about Ukiah area. There's some hot springs and stuff out there. I was considering Noon.
They don't need to know about those hot springs.
They don't know about this one. There's other hot springs that they know about. The one I know about is a secret. It's super secret special. Then I was looking at Noonday Trail down by Bohemian Mountain, down Cottage Grove area. Really want to run that Noonday Trail. Played around. There's a bunch of old mines and stuff down there, but it's really up in the air right now. Could be anywhere.
I was talking to Josh about the Noonday Trail Saturday evening while we were hanging out, and he said that he passed through there on one of the east-west Discovery Backroads trails, and he said it's pretty awesome, and there's just mines littered everywhere. He loves mines and going and exploring old relics like that, so he gets a big kick out of that.
Yeah, I've not been on the Noonday Trail, but I've been in that area, and yeah, it's a ton of mines and stuff. It's really cool.
Cool.
What about you, Aaron? You been up to anything good?
Yeah, actually. So last week when we had Andy from Warren on, I broke the news to him that I broke my winch and got it fixed. It was as I thought. I ohmed out some wires and a couple of them had failed. So put it all back together. This time I put it back together nicer, and I installed a 5-pin automotive plug, like I mentioned, so I could pull it apart.
With those low voltage skills to use.
I did. Yep. And then I haven't put it back together yet. I had to put some RTV on a part just to seal up the housing a little bit. And so I was waiting for that to dry, and then I never got back to it over the weekend because I had a pretty busy weekend. Saturday morning, I was working on the chicken coop again, and then Saturday afternoon, I went to my buddy's wedding. So Christian, the guy that has the Quonset hut that we rebuilt my Nissan in, he got married, and so I went to his wedding, and I saw it on the invitation, but I didn't pay attention. I thought this was like for out of town people, but it specifically said camping is available, and just like I said, I took that as you can just camp there overnight or whatever if you're living far away. But apparently at this wedding venue, when you get married, there are a lot of people just stay up super late and camp overnight. And so the venue is only 15 minutes from my house. It's out in the woods. And so at about 7 o'clock after the wedding, I ran my family home and I went back out there and I hung out at the wedding till 2 o'clock in the morning, sitting around a campfire and talking with friends about four-wheeling and trails. That's where I was talking to Josh about the trails and stuff. So that was a good time at sitting around, hanging out with friends. Four of the people, at least four of the people that were sitting around the campfire with me are going to join us on the McGrew Trail. So that's going to be good. And then I wanted to mention, I'm talking about all this wedding stuff and these specific friends. I wanted to mention that I only became friends with these people because I put the Off-Road Podcast business card on Josh's windshield one time, and it took like 3 months for him and I to, maybe even longer, for him and I to connect. And now we're lifelong friends, wheeling buddies, camping buddies, and stuff like that. So if you ever see someone's rig, I mean, even if you don't have a business card that's got your podcast name on or anything, if you ever see somebody that maybe looks like they have the same interest in you, it would probably behoove you to reach out to them. I mean, that's how Coy and I became friends. I mean, he harassed me, but and then that's how Ben and I became friends. I stalked him, and then we met up at an event, and we're really good friends, super good friends. We feed each other a lot of crap, but that's just for the show. We really do love each other and care about each other's well-being. So we're more than just off-road buddies, I should say.
You still give me crap, but you know.
Yeah. Not nearly as much as we do on the show, I gotta say.
Let's just say that we wear capes when we're around each other because we're super friends.
Super friends. So all that to say, reach out and make friends with somebody you don't know. So beyond that, group hugs, hands above the waist this time. I don't know who Facebook user is that wrote that, but absolutely. The last part is I got the mobile ham radio installed on my truck. I forgot to upload a picture of that. Maybe I'll share it next week.
Real quick.
You can grab it. Okay. I got the mobile ham radio installed, and the antenna. I had to get a new. I mentioned that the wire for the antenna wasn't long enough, and when I was at the ham radio store, it's called Ham Radio Outlet. In fact, I've got their magazine right here in case you're a nerd like that. You probably already know about this place. But instead of getting a new antenna lead, which they didn't have a long enough one, they were going to sell me a splice. I ended up getting a magnet mount antenna that I stuck on the roof of my truck. So we'll see how that works out. If it doesn't work out, I'll just have to get a longer antenna cord. And the reason why I chose that was because talking to the guy there, he didn't think that where I was gonna. Yeah, there you go. You can see the ham radio there, all bolted up. Looks good. They didn't have a good bracket to mount to the back of my truck, number one, and then the guy also didn't think that the top rails of the bed and the top of the tailgate would make a good ground plane for ham radio nonsense. So,
Well, they recommend that you mount it in like the center of your vehicle, as center as possible.
Yeah.
Well,
Eric asked,
drill a hole in your roof and mount it that way, but
yeah,
people are brave enough.
Yeah, I'm not for sure. Eric asks if there's a clip for the handset. No, I haven't chosen a spot for that yet. I'll have to get that going as part of what I'm doing. So
I am going to
just
highly
mentioned-
recommend that you spend
Yeah.
$40 on a magnet handset.
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
know if you've ever messed with mine. It bolts to the actual, I don't know what you'd call that, the little eye or whatever on the back of the existing radio. They're all the same. It slides on there, it bolts there, and then there's a magnet base, and it's incredibly strong, and it's one of the best mods I've ever made radio wise.
I like that because I'm not a big fan of like the bungee cord style or the retracting line or anything like that. So that's a good idea. Then you can just kind of like set it against your magnet.
It's literally so strong that you can get it like 2 inches away and just let go, and it'll just smack to it.
It
awesome.
sounds like my Mob Armor phone mount, which is amazing. It's literally just like you stick it and it stays.
It's what all the cop cars and pretty much stuff have.
Okay. Well, I'll try to steal one out of a cop car next time I'm in one. Tree Loving Adventure says that's how most of our wheeling friendships have been established. Chasing people down in parking lots or taking selfies with their rigs and posting them. So absolutely.
You on here, bro?
Yeah. Forgot about that one. You on here, bro. All right. Ben.
Washington.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. That is the forerunners of King County.
Yep.
Ben, what have you been up to?
Crazy busy with family stuff. I haven't done too much minus I was going to drop my son off at his grandma's, and there was a guy stuck. Actually, you'd probably recognize the name, Jovita, that hill where it's like a two-way hill. He was broken down in the middle of the hill, and no place to pull off, and there's two cops, one on each side of him, and I'm going up the hill and they're directing traffic, and I like roll down my window. I'm like, hey, do you want me to like pull him up the hill and get him the hell out of the way? And they're like, if he's cool with it, that would be awesome. So I pull in front of their car and talk to the guy real quick, and he's like, yeah, he just bought the truck, and it turns out it has problems. So I just hooked a strap up to his frame horn and towed him up the hill. And
what kind of rig was it?
It was like it was a S10.
Okay.
Other than that, I got notice last week that my materials for the shop were going to be delivered this week. So I took all the tree branches that got trimmed and got them all chipped up today and spread out. The neighbor who has his own tree business brought over the chip truck, and we chipped them all up, and then I spread them out and leveled them up out there to keep the weeds down. So the shop's ready for materials.
Is that long triangle in the back behind the gravel, is that going to be mostly inaccessible and
It'll
not
be
usable?
accessible. There'll be 5 feet on each side of it.
Okay.
But there's not going to be much of anything back there. I think I'm going to put a little shed and put my air compressor in there. Just like a little compressor room, or maybe some lawn tools that I don't use that often. Just a little lean-to back there, so I don't have the compressor
Gotcha.
going off in the shop. But oh, here's that's my dog, my German Shepherd. And then there is a picture of the top of the tree that was a branch leaning over the yard, and that bastard of a branch was so fun. That's the one that I got stung, if you remember, like 3 times in a week doing yard work. So just before I
Nice.
broke my ankle.
Which time?
I've only broke it once.
Oh, okay. The other times were sprains. That's right.
Yeah.
Severe sprains.
Yes.
Yeah.
Severe. Not fun sprains.
You're up, Coy.
Oh, I am. Where am I
Yeah.
at?
We're the listener feedback.
Oh, sorry. I totally had scrolled down. I thought we were, yeah. I was ready to just talk crap to bed. I'm like, and Patriot Patch. Sorry. Listener feedback. Alan Husky wrote in and said, I know it really doesn't matter, but that lift was not on the fenders. It was a piece of synthetic line wrapped through the wheel. The jackfoot was very close to the fender, though. So that was on our recovery stories last week, and they were jacking up a Subaru, and it does look like they just stuck a high lift into the fender well. But
now,
It
looking at
does.
that picture, if you look closely, you can see where the synthetic is. And
Yep.
I think what really threw it of it's on the fender was the fact that they have like a piece of leather or cardboard or piece of wood up against the fender to protect it from the jack.
It really, if you couldn't see that strap there, you'd have no idea. So it must just be millimeters away. The jackfoot must be millimeters away from rolling that fender. So you can run stretch tires on a Subaru.
Be super cool.
All right. I don't know if we've mentioned it yet, and we've only got a month until it's happening, but Northwest Overland Rally in Plain, Washington is coming up June 15 to 18, and we're going to be there, all 3 of us. So if you're not planning to come out, change your mind and come. It's always a good time. It usually is going to be hot, so plan for that, but there's so much to do, so much to learn, and a lot of good people to meet. It's a great show, and then you can lose your voice yelling "burn it" every night.
So Coy, now that we're friends, are you still going to use trees to try and triangulate where I am, or are we just going to connect to each other?
I feel like I'll just call you now, since I have your phone number. But here's the sad part. Now that we are friends, if I see your awning just blowing in the wind and just ripping itself apart, I'm just like, it's bad. I'm just gonna move.
You take a picture and walk away.
Put it on the Pavement Haters page.
In fact, I might bring my shovel and dig a hole. Right.
Yes. We're all digging holes around Ben's campsite for
booby traps.
Throw some grass clippings over it and call it a day.
Man, damn booby traps and children.
We also want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Patch. Head over to patriotpatch.co and check out their selection of great patches, shirts, cleaning mats, signs, and stickers. You can also join the Patch of the Month Club for $15 and receive a patch, matching sticker, and artist proof each month.
And don't forget, our patches are available. $13 shipped in the US for $10 for any additional continental US, I should say. or $10 picked up from us in person, shoot us a message through any of our channels, and we'll hook you up with a PayPal link. Or you could meet up with us at the Northwest Overland rally, and we can hook you up there too. And there's the Lumen Locker patch, which does indeed glow in the dark. And you know, Aaron, what you should do is you should take and put that patch right on your panel there, right next to those other ones, just to show what it looks like one of these days.
I have it, but it is around. Oh, you mean? I thought you're talking about on my safe.
No, I'm
back
talking
here.
Yeah, I'm talking about you take it out to one of your rockers on your center console.
I see. Oh, I thought you were talking because I've got all these patches right here, but right around the corner on the front, the Lumen Locker patch is right there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Have tire troubles ever left you deflated? Colby Valve has got you covered. Ever have a valve stem leak? Colby Valve makes reusable and easily replaceable valve stems that don't require you to remove your tire from the wheel. They work with your off-road rig, ATV, side-by-side, commuter vehicle, or even your tractor. Never be left stranded again because of a busted valve stem. They also have a tire repair kit for those punctures that keep you away from doing your favorite thing, wheeling. Make sure to check out colbyvalve.com or ask for them at your local off-road products store.
All right, our first news article is this is breaking news, you guys. This is world changing. I don't know if you heard, but Toyota, with the new Tacoma that's coming out, which they're going to be announcing it Friday of this week. So this is we got sneak peek to this information. Really trying to build this up if you haven't noticed. They're switching to disc brakes in the rear of the Tacoma platform, you guys. This is like the first truck company ever to put disc brakes on the back of a truck.
Or
wait a minute. No, I'm sorry. No, they're the last ones. That's right. They're the last ones to switch to disc brakes.
To be fair, didn't the new Tundra get disc brakes in the back?
Probably, but
yeah, that's just like every other vehicle has them. I mean, even the Toyota 4Runners, like my 4th gen 4Runner has disc brakes in the back, and it's like, why didn't the Tacoma?
I know a lot of people will try to throw Toyota shade at me and be like, well, at least mine has disc brakes. I'm like, yep, that's the Tacoma thing, like not FJ thing. Yeah, I've got disc brakes.
It's only the Tacomas because the 4Runners have disc brakes.
Yeah.
So I've heard reasons like, oh, well, there's less brake fade, or they're better for towing, or all your stopping is up front, so you don't need to waste money on having expensive rear discs. It saves weight. I've heard all these excuses, but
just join the
I don't know.
Century.
You want to know what I think the real reason they waited this long was? Because nobody knows how to change disc brakes, or sorry, drum brakes anymore, and you need a couple specialized tools. And once they didn't change to disc for so long, and once they realized that people were losing the skill of changing disc brake pad or drum brake pads, then they were just like, oh, good, they have to bring it in. More money for us.
Yeah.
And then eventually now.
That is fair.
Like
they
dealers
relocated the oil filter from on top of the FJ Cruiser motor to underneath. But like they did a remote mount. It's not like the engine changed. They just have a plug there with hoses going down. They just put it in a more inconvenient location for no other reason than to make it harder for people to do oil changes.
Yeah. So Toyota confirmed that it's going to be coming on the new Tacoma model, which they're going to announce with all the information. I don't know about all of it, but a lot of the information. Eric, that's wrong. This Friday, they did post a cheeky Instagram picture with a close-up of the rear tire, and it's kind of spinning out, throwing some gravel, and it's showcasing the disc brake in the rear. And
innovation, really.
Innovation, yeah. Most automakers ditched, or at least most truck automakers ditched the rear drums a decade or more ago. So, yeah.
Well, this is a Toyota heavy news day, guys, because Toyota also has another thing that they refuse to quit doing. And that is the manual transmission for Tacomas. They're still
That's a
offering a
good
manual
thing.
transmission. I think it's a good thing, but in 10 years, is that going to be like, oh, you have a manual transmission in your Toyota? Good. Like, is that going to be the Toyota hate thing, is having a manual transmission?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think
Anyways,
it's awesome. I don't
I
want
think it's-
one, but I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's good for people that want to change their clutch out a lot. Toyota has confirmed that the new upcoming Tacoma model will include a manual transmission option. And while Tacoma prices are starting at $29,585, that's cheap, right? Assuming that's a two-wheel drive base model. By the time you add enough options to where they allow you to add the 6-speed, it's coming in at $38,270 minimum price to get that manual transmission.
$10,000 more
Now,
for a manual
you will be
transmission.
getting a TRD Sport package in that price, so that's a plus. But sadly, you're not going to get a little two-wheel drive manual runabout for just ripping around town. You're going to have to really option up pretty good before you can get the manual.
That kind of surprises me that you can't just get yourself a little 4-banger or something with a manual.
I'm a little surprised too, because I feel like that's more the market for the manual transmission is just the little grocery getter type two-wheel drive one, or
Yep.
the or a pre-runner even. Like, guys are still building those out, and that I feel like that's more of a manual transmission situation, is the pre-runner build outs. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We've got one more Toyota news article from Car and Driver, and it's actually not Tacoma news. It's cruiser news. The 2024 Toyota Combat Cruiser. We talked about this one back on episode 335.
Did you say
and
combat or compact?
compact?
Okay, I heard combat cruiser. I was like, sweet.
Oh yeah,
for
we're
sure
going to
said
war with
combat, but yeah.
So we talked about this late 21, and it's expected to arrive as an EV in 2024 in that lineup. So not this year, but next. Not much information on the drivetrain, but it's expected to share with another platform. We're not really sure. Expected pricing's around $35,000. An LE, XLE, and limited models. And the big question is it going to have disc brakes?
How do you guys feel about this? Like, what are you thinking? Do you think it's just going to be a RAV4 with a different body? Like,
I don't know. I have hope for it. There's always hope. Like, I think they looked at the Jeep Recon and they're like, okay, we need like a compact off-roader. Quick, we need to get it
Mark,
out.
that was priceless. Looks like a Defender drank a Bud Light. That's just a render. I don't know if that has any bearing on what the real thing's going to look like. That looks decent,
so-
I think.
Someone put Bud Light in a Defender's gas tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep my hopes down, honestly. I don't think the name isn't out yet. People have been calling it a compact cruiser. I don't know if the cruiser family or heritage has anything to do with this electric vehicle. I hope it
Let's
does,
talk-
and I hope it's good, but
Let's think about it from the angle that Ford did. So Ford came out with the Bronco. They also, at the same time, actually earlier than that, launched the Bronco Sport. And a lot of people were like, oh, the Bronco Sport's not a real Bronco. Well, it's not supposed to be. It's a Ford Escape that's been doodled up to handle the harshest Forest Service trails. Maybe that's kind of what's going to go on with this guy. Maybe it is a RAV4, but it's kind of a kitted out RAV4, or maybe it'll compete with maybe it's a Suzuki Jimny competitor.
Honestly, with what's out there, that's probably good enough for a lot of people.
it really
It really
They need to
is.
have Toyota needs to have like an FJ Cruiser or like they need something to actually compete with like the Bronco and the Jeeps other than the Tacoma, in my opinion, before you go throwing out the day blazers, like I
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the Forerunner kind of fits that category, but
There's
it's a little big.
there's a new Forerunner coming out also.
Yeah,
There's no real information on it, and I don't know when they're going to actually talk about it.
I
So
think the Forerunner will probably be in the 2024 or 2025 lineup.
yeah, well, they mentioned that they're going to be talking about it soon, just like this rig right here. They're saying is a 24, but they don't have any real information. So I wonder if they're going to just do a big product launch where they talk about multiple vehicles.
Kind of like
Although
Jeep did.
yeah, so we'll see.
Yep, we'll see.
Go prepared with Warren Industries. They produced the first recreational winch in 1959 and lead the industry with their dedication to quality and reliability. When you dig yourself in deep, make sure you have the right tools to get yourself out. Get Warren equipped and go where others can't. Now, let's get ready for adventure and head into our main topic.
I just wanted to say we got Tony from the Jeep Talk Show in the comments too.
I was wondering if that was Tony. I just saw that it was the Jeep Talk Show. So
Oh, that's Tony.
yeah.
So this week we're starting a new thing. So we've talked about reviewing trails, and now we're going to do trail review podcast episodes. So we hit a trail, we talk about it. Obviously, I haven't hit a trail lately, but Aaron and Coy, they were just out at Cline Buttes, or as I'd like to say, Cline Butts. So they're gonna go ahead and talk about this whole trip they just did, and we've actually got a whole format for this, so that we can follow it up with other trails, and I'm excited for it because it'll be fun to have a way to kind of talk about trails we go to, or maybe someone wants to come in and talk about a trail. We've got a format for the form to fill out and make it interesting and educational. So it'd be like, hey, can I take my RAV4 to Cline Buttes? And you'll find out whether or not it'll make it or not. So Aaron, Coy, take her away.
Well, first of all,
Well,
Ben, I'd like to say that if you had a super awesome friendship and bond like me and Aaron, maybe you could have come and enjoyed yourself. But
You know,
apparently, we don't share that with you because you decided not to come.
I know. I wanted to come. My schedule's been
And-
crazy.
and we wanted you to come.
And it was what, 7 hours away from me? Something like
Distance makes the heart grow fonder, Ben. Like that should have
Yeah.
been. You should have been even more likely to come.
one of these days. Actually, I want to go after hearing you guys talk about it. So
I didn't well, yeah, we'll get to that. I didn't think about this, Ben, until you're talking about it, but I think that's a great idea because we've got this format. We could have somebody come on and talk about a trail that they did, and they could review it using this format, and we could ask the questions and find out about it if it's trails in Florida or Pennsylvania or Texas, where we probably won't be getting to with our off-road rigs. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and I mean, considering, there's lots of cool trails all over, and you might not know about Reeder Park up north or Tahuya, or you hear about Tahuya and you're like, well, can I take my LMTV through Tahuya or Browns Camp?
The trail rating systems on even in Moab, when you look at like one site will be like extremely difficult and the other one's like it's easy. It's really hard to actually get a bead on how hard a lot of these trails and OHVs are with any reliability.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll take off here. We started off planning a weekend to go to Cline Butte / Buckhorn Motorized Recreational Area. Also known as the North Bar Road Recreational Area, Cline Butte's OHV trail system. The closest towns are Sisters and Redmond. Bend is not far away either. There's a map up there. Number of trails and difficulty levels. The north side of 22 there are 6 for class 2, and south side.
No, there's 22 trails on the north side.
22.
6 of them are for, yeah.
Yeah, I read that wrong.
So,
and the south
yeah, on that
side,
map,
22 for class 2.
Yeah, on the map you see there's a highway that kind of divides this area in half. So yeah, there's 22 on the north side and 42 on the south side. But you can't drive on all of those. If you look at the map in the upper corner, it shows class 1, 2, 3, and 4 can take these dash line ones. Class 1 and 3 only are the solid lines, and then class 3 only are like the 2-color dash lines. So real quick, why don't I go over what these class definitions are? So at least in Oregon, and they're all considered ATV classes. So class 1 is quads and 3-wheelers. Class 2 is Jeeps, sandrails, and SUVs, to include pickup trucks. Class 3 is motorcycles, and class 4 is side-by-sides. So a lot of these trails are motorcycle only. Some of them are quad and 3-wheeler only. Sorry, quad, 3-wheeler, and motorcycle only. And then the rest of them are open to everybody. So
yeah, the south side has 42 trails, and 22 of those are for class 2. There were trail maps on site for free. Green being the easiest, or green circle being easiest, blue square being more difficult, black diamond most difficult. We only saw 4 between the north and south side and a play area. And I did find out later, Aaron, that play area actually extended to the south farther. There was more to it. We didn't drive over there.
okay, all right.
Because that friend I saw there with the buggy and that we didn't see again, he said he just went a little farther south. There's a whole another section to the play area. 4 small trails close in a wildlife area between February 1st and August 31st.
Those are on the map at that far west point there. It's not much of trails, so I don't think if you showed up during those months that you'd miss anything.
You do need an Oregon ATV permit. There was a pit toilet at the North Bar staging area. As far as I'm aware, that's the only one in the area. This whole park isn't really huge, so it wouldn't be a big deal most of the time. Just run back there if you had a situation.
Yeah, if you could clinch it long enough, it's not that big of a drive.
Yeah. Other things to do at that park: motorcycle, quad, side-by-side, horse riding, hiking, biking. There were class 1, 2, 3, and 4 that can wheel there. And I believe there is actually horseback riding in that area. I saw something about that. Trail composition, it is pretty much dirt and rock, that kind of loose alkali dirt and a lot of rock. And it's lava rock, so it's sharp and embedded in the dirt and sticking out of the dirt and loose, just all over.
Some of the dirt was pretty fine. I want to say it was almost like a sand-like dirt as well. But
it's that kind that your oxen die in when you're on the Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
Why don't you take this next section, Aaron?
All right. So what trails we ran while we were out there. After I put this on paper, it didn't look like we ran a lot of trails. So I may have missed some, but so in the green trails, we ran 27 and 32, and that was mostly just to get to and from some of the areas. And we'll kind of talk about the trail difficulties here in a little bit. Blue trails, which would be more difficult. We ran 32 also. So I said 32 in the green. It turns harder, quote unquote, harder into a blue trail a little bit later. We also ran 44 and 49. And then for the black trails, we ran 34. And I can't remember if we ran trail 16 or if that's just the one that we walked. I thought we ran 2 black trails, but I'm only seeing.
We ran up part of it and then weren't sure where it went, drove around to the other side, and then end up walking it the way I remember.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we did
Yeah. So we did drive a little bit of it. Yeah. And then several days after we got back, I was looking at the map that I brought home and noticed that there was one more black trail on the north side that I wish I would have noticed because I would have driven over there and tried it. How the rating compares to what you feel it was. So, in my opinion, now maybe we should take this with a grain of salt, but I really don't think I need to. So Coy and I are both on 35s, got some long travel suspension. Coy's an expert driver. We do pretty good when we're wheeling. But I really feel like these trails weren't that hard. Like I wrote in here, I said, I feel like there should have been 4 levels of trail difficulty. And so the green, blue, black would be 1, 2, and 3. And there should have been something a step above the black trails because the black trails weren't really, really difficult. They just took a little bit of time and tire placement and skill to get through them.
So
there was one section on the kind of that cliff edge thing where the black trail had a bunch of obstacles. It wasn't really a trail. It was just like cliff faces for you to climb and weird, stuff.
Yes.
And, I mean, that clearly black diamond. That's like buggy.
That one in my that would be a double black diamond. If in my rating scale, I would add a double black diamond. So that would have been trail number 14. And yeah, it was just a bunch of cliff faces that you could climb.
So were they bypassable?
I hesitate to say it was because there was clearly spots that were being bypassed, but I don't know that those were actually bypasses. It's so open out there. If somebody starts going around something, it's impossible to tell if that's a legit bypass or it's just been made one. So gotcha. I'm saying yes, but I don't think we took any bypasses.
Is there was it like lockers needed, or was it you could have been?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'm just trying to figure out.
Engaged my locker one time, I believe, and that was when me and Aaron in the play area. There's different obstacles and stuff. It's just a large area of stuff to try and kind of sand and stuff. And there was a couple, what'd you say, large ledges type things that me and Aaron were messing around on. Yeah. And I've had my locker on there. I don't believe I engaged it anywhere else.
So Alan says that the play area has more difficult stuff on the south end. And like Coy was saying earlier, we didn't realize that the play area extended more south than where we were exploring it at. So I guess we'll have to check that out sometime in the future. Let's see here. So yeah, I do feel like the trails are pretty easy. So for my description here, the green trails, which were the easiest, could have been done, in my opinion, by Ben's hybrid Camry.
Yeah, if we were honestly to assign like recommended tire sizes for trails, green, I would go like 29s. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure my wife's RAV4 could drive. It's just a dirt road, essentially.
Anything all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive shouldn't have a problem at all on the green trails that we saw. Maybe they get harder in some areas, but
the blue trails, I feel like on 31s, some of the obstacles would be pretty challenging. But on 33s, you're going to walk everything. I mean, and there are spots that are little obstacles and some challenges, but essentially 90% of the trail you can just easily do on a 31, 33-inch tire. 35s, almost made it too easy on the
Yeah.
green trails, or sorry, blue trails we did. So if
Well,
you
so
have, go ahead,
my
Aaron.
opinion of the blue trails is that they were exactly the same as the green trails. The green trails were there was zero rock embedded in the trails. It was just smooth dirt, and the blue trails were the exact same. Some whoops, some uphills, some downhills, some crests and
Some
bumps,
ledges and some little
ledges,
waterfall type obstacle. There were
but
green
but
trails
with
were
rock embedded in it.
It
Yeah,
sounds like it would be the green and the blues would be great for someone new to wheeling. Just listening to you guys
Absolutely.
talk, to learn your vehicle, and then
Mhm.
it sounds like the stuff in the black. It's like after you've gotten really comfortable and maybe you've got someone with some experience with you, you could go touch on those and see how you like it. If you're
yeah,
on like a 33, 35.
yeah. I think the nice thing about the blue trails was it's not like kind of the valley, brown scamp. You're always afraid you're going to rub on a tree, and you're just like constantly having to watch out for this. I
Mhm.
think I was able to drive everything and just see how close I was to stuff in my mirrors. I don't know if Aaron had to on the actual trails, not the play area, if we had to spot each other anywhere. It was always kind of maybe over the radio we'd just be like, "Hey, watch that tree hug to the left" or something. But it was pretty clear what you needed to do. So I was never worried about not going to
Yeah.
dent in my rig or anything like that.
Yeah. Yep. I totally agree with that. We didn't do any spotting, in my opinion, except for like the ledge climbing fun that we were doing. So let's see here. Time spent on the trail. We were there for about 6 hours, not including camping overnight there. Ben asked about the bypasses. Coy said he thought there may have been some, but they wouldn't be like legitimate bypasses. I don't recall seeing any real bypasses. But unless you consider jumping off of a trail onto another trail a bypass, there's definitely some of that. There's some trails that one black one that we did for sure, number 34, I think it is. That one intersects with other trails often, so you could exit that trail if you really needed to. So I guess you could consider that a bypass.
That is awesome that it has an option like that to where, okay, this trail's a little bit too much for me. I need to get used to wheeling and go on the easier stuff for a little bit.
I remember there were a couple bypass signs.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, there were a couple, but the I mean, the obstacles weren't really that hard, so the bypass what didn't seem that much different. I mean, it
Okay.
wasn't that much different, really, honestly. So it's not really much of a bypass, but
Um, and then one more thought about the black trails here before we move on. I remember as I was studying and reading up on this before we went out there, someone was saying, I don't remember who was saying what to who and what vehicle they were driving, but they made it so someone had asked if you had to have a really built up rig to go on Trail 34 because it's a black diamond. And they were saying that they were able to get through on their rig and it wasn't built up that much. I think they're on 35s and they said they were able to make it through, and they made it sound like it was pretty challenging, but they made it through. I feel like my Nissan would have been able to do that on 33s prior to any of my Titan suspension or engine or brakes or anything. So basically, my Nissan Frontier 3-inch puck lift in the front, taller, an extra tall leaf pack in the rear, and a factory rear locker. I think I could have made it through on 33s on
I
that trail.
100% agree with you. But I will preface it that this is in the dry. And while it is almost always
Yes.
dry over there, if you had a good rain or snow melt, it would completely change that trail.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Yep. Absolutely. And that's coming up here in just a little bit. So, in fact, we can skip to that one and then come back to the other one. So it says, what were the weather conditions when you were there, and did they affect the trail conditions? Well, so for us, when we started wheeling, it was in the 60s, and it got to the mid 70s. I don't think it got into 80s while we were there. I don't have a thermometer on that specific truck to answer that question, but from what it felt like, mostly sunny. It was a dry heat, mostly sunny, not a lot of clouds, but there was some cloud covers, which made the trail mostly dry. I think that it had rained previously, so there was still some wetness to the soil. So it wasn't very dusty, but the ground was dry. The rocks were dry, so nothing was slippery.
Which I guess this would be a good time to bring this up. When we were kind of researching to go here, a couple people did say that, a lot of tire damage, really sharp rock, expect to, be okay with a lot of chunking and had me a little bit on edge about that.
Yeah, me
I didn't
too.
really see much going on with my tires. I kind of glanced over them and it seemed like typical trail wear. I mean, I didn't see anything excessive. So
With what you were talking about, how the rocks are, it probably is the fellows who don't understand throttle control and like to spin their tires, and then they chunk up their tires. Kind of like the people
For sure.
who use max tracks and just go full throttle on them, and they're like, it burned all the nubs off the first time I tried. This product's crap.
Yeah, I could totally see that. And actually, when we were airing back up, I specifically walked around and looked at all my tires, and I didn't have any nicks or anything in my rubber, and my tires were completely brand new. They had the only real miles they had on them was driving to this off-road park. So, well, I guess I did take them out snow wheeling the weekend before, but beyond that, they had less than 500 miles on them. I did get some rock rash on my brand new wheels, so prepare for that. Expect that at this place, especially if you're going to do the harder stuff. I don't think I got any rock rash on any of the blue or green trails, but I did when I was in the play area trying to climb a wall.
I got a little rock rash on my wheel as well, chipped a little powder coat, but to be expected, I think, anytime you play in any amount of rock.
Yep. The last question here is, how clean is this area? It was, in my opinion, it was very clean. We saw very little trash, and what trash I did see, I didn't have my trasheroo with me, but I just picked it up and threw it in the bed of my pickup truck, and it eventually came home with me. So,
Do you guys know if there's a off-road club or someone maintaining the trails?
actually, we met somebody. I can't remember if it was the night before or the next morning. The guy who camped next to us.
Night before, yeah.
Yeah. Him and his group maintain it and build it and do other things to it. And I have no idea what he said it was. I felt like it was a Toyota club specifically.
Yeah, for some reason I was thinking it was something cruisers or something, but they weren't even from around there, if I remember right. It was like a club in the valley builds the trails or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm totally thrown off. But
yeah,
it makes sense. I mean, I know
that Alan says Deschutes County four-wheelers in the comments here.
Nice.
I'm going to believe him because I completely cannot remember.
Yeah. I thought it was a Toyota group. The guy had a fairly modified, I think it was a 4th gen 4Runner, if I remember correctly.
Seems like it.
Yeah. All right, last part here before we kind of jump into some stories from our wheeling there. So, will you go back, Coy?
I think I'll definitely go back. It's not going to be a multi-day thing, but if I went over, Friday, like we did, like on a Friday night, camp out and then wheel Saturday, or drive over, wheel Saturday, spend the night and then drive home. It's not a huge area, so there's not like a ton of time to be spent there, in my opinion, but a day or a single night trip, absolutely super fun. And I really like the fact that it's wide open and there's like, this is actually really lends itself well to a decent sized group. It's like Browns Camp, I feel like is not a good place to have that 15 truck group, but over there, I don't see any reason why not. It's easy to spot. Everybody can see each other. It's great for pictures because you can actually see all the vehicles a lot of times. And yeah, I think it's a great little off-road park. I'll definitely be back at some point.
Yeah, I agree. I'd go back, and I wrote probably for the day. I realize it's not that far, that you could leave at 6 o'clock in the morning and get there a decent time to start wheeling. We didn't start wheeling until 10 o'clock. And then if I didn't have anything going on that night, like I did, you could stay a lot later and then drive home in the dark. So you can get a full day's wheeling if you lived in the Portland area and drove to this. You can get even more if you lived in the Bend area. So
Yeah, I just Googled it. It's 5 hours away from my house. So it's not terrible. It'd be it'd be good for an overnight, it sounds like.
It's like 3 hours
Absolutely.
from my house, Ben, and you're complaining about how far you had to drive to get there?
Yes.
So like I said, I'd probably a 1 day trip, unless here's my caveat. And I'm going to get back to my caveat. Actually, I wrote that it would be a great place to bring a beginner, and it's not too far away. The weather on the other side of the mountains is almost always nicer. So I think it's a great place for a beginner because of these blue and green trails. There's a whole lot of blue and green trails to explore, and there's a lot more miles of those trails than there are of the black trails. So you might be able to spread this out over a long weekend. Show up Friday night, wheel all day Saturday, wheel Sunday, drive home Sunday night, and do a lot more than what you would normally do with somebody who's built up and stuff like that.
I concur.
Yes. All right. You guys done looking at this map? Let's look at some pictures from this trip and talk about what we did. So, let's see here. Did Coy have any?
Talk about the campsite a little bit and what it's like.
Yeah.
So the campsite, it's the North Bar Road staging area. That's a nice picture there. It's just basically a gravel loop with a pit toilet. You just kind of pull up and camp wherever you want. There's kind of fire rings dispersed around. There's, as far as I'm aware, was no camp host. And if there was, they were doing a lousy job. People can party and do whatever they want, so be aware that if you're camping here and you'd like to get a good night's sleep, that's not really up to you. But
yeah, it definitely wasn't up to us.
It's, it's just a dirt lot. I had no problems with it as far as the campsite. There's not like rocks sticking through the bottom of the tent, so it was I would say, as the camp spot itself, it was a decent place to camp. But you're going to have neighbors most likely, and they may or may not be nice.
Yeah. One thing to note is that it's high desert there in Central Oregon, which can dip down and get cold at night.
And get windy.
It definitely dropped into the 20s at night. So my Nalgene bottle, which was in the tent with me, was half frozen. Like, it was freezing the outer portions of the water on the inside. So, was
it March or April?
It was Easter weekend, so April, right?
Early April.
Yeah, I guess early April. And Coy mentioned windy, and there's not a lot of tree cover, so it does get windy. That's why I threw my swag up next to the truck just to block some of the wind from the direction it was coming in. Let's see here. Let's just scroll through some pictures here. So this is on the Trail 34, the Black Diamond Trail. I'm hardly flexing out on that. Not a lot going on. I can't remember why I took this picture. But you can just see how wide open it is. This is in the playground area. I found this. No, this is the one that you went up, Coy, and then I started to go up and hooked my exhaust, so I backed down. That's right.
Right. And then in the playground area, you can find stuff as hard or as easy as you want. So
yeah.
Yeah.
It's not. So the playground area, is that not a trail, but just a kind of an area to
It's like a
test yourself?
5 acre area, and there's ledges. I mean, a lot of it's just a big dirt area.
So,
You know,
so
you
it's a
can sit
big
there and do
open area
burpees.
that you can try different things on.
Yeah, more
Yeah.
or less.
Yep. This is Coy going through some of the black diamond area, and I think
that
this was
trail was actually a green trail, but kind of a little side shoot thing.
yeah. I don't. I'm thinking that it was still kind of in the play area or something, because it definitely was a rock ledge that was 3 feet or more tall, as you can see with Koi's front tire there. At least on that side. I think it was even deeper on the other side.
Yeah, it was. Well, it's a
Um,
pretty good ledge. I had to stack a few
yeah.
rocks.
Yep. This was let's see here. I got my map. Let me look real quick. I wanted to just know if this is
Coy,
I think this is a green trail here.
Coy, you did that open, that last picture where you said you stacked some rocks?
No, I was locked in the rear.
Okay.
No, that was that was a little challenging spot, but it was just like one spot. The trail wasn't like that. It's just one ledge you climbed up, and then it was essentially dirt road again.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is also on one of the Black Diamond trails. You can see Koi's going to go down a little bit of a ledge. He's on some rock and going to pop down some rock. Here is a different rock wall. This isn't the one I snagged my exhaust on, but it's hard to tell here, but that rock face is, I thought it was near vertical. This picture doesn't make it look near vertical, but I think it's covered up by the rock in the foreground. But I had to come at it at an angle to get my tire up on a rock so I could start driving up this rock ledge. I did not conquer this ledge. It was probably 8 or 9 feet tall. I just couldn't get traction up on the top of it, and my back end couldn't push me up on that one. I took this picture from inside the cab, so you can see that the tree is vertical, and that's the angle that my truck is at, which is greater than 45 degrees, trying to climb that ledge.
That helps with it not looking like an optical illusion of you tilting your phone.
Yeah.
That's a good picture. I need to start taking some like that.
And you can see in this picture, I've got the Lumen Locker and the Off-Road Podcast patch just barely visible in there.
Product placement. Good job.
Yeah, there you go. I don't remember what trail this is at all. I assume that this is also on the Black Diamond Trail. We had either just gone up something or getting ready to go up something. This is in the play area also. I drove up on this rock with my back tire so that I had plenty of clearance to get underneath. This is when I was putting my exhaust back on. Where did that picture go? I thought I had that one uploaded.
Your exhaust hung down just in the perfect spot to catch on this little rock and just pop it apart.
Yep, the muffler hooked and it just pulled it backwards from a slip joint. So
Is that is the picture where it's hanging? I have that on my computer. I can grab it.
yeah, I thought I had it in here, but it's just disappeared. This next picture is Coy going up a little bit of a waterfall rock ledge. This would be on the Black Diamond Trails, not in the play area.
And
I think this was on trail. This is on trail 16, I believe.
That's a fair obstacle. Like I don't want to discount these trails too much. There were some enjoyable obstacles, but I wouldn't.
Yeah,
it's not like something I was worried I was going to break my truck or needed a spotter on. But it was a fun. They had fun obstacles.
there we go. There's the picture of my exhaust when it fell down. Let's see here. This is just on a green trail when we were heading back to the play area, I believe. Here's a picture of Coy pounding out my one of my skid plates. This is the transfer case skid plate. It hooked on something and buckled it a little bit, and the rear bolt fell out or broke off. I'm not sure which. So we had to zip tie. Actually, it's still zip tied up underneath my truck at that rear stinger point. So I need to get that fixed.
Luckily, I'm a level 97 Smithy on Skyrim, so I was able to bust out my trusty 2-pound sledge, put this thing right back into shape.
Yeah. While Coy was pounding away at it, I was singing some dwarf metal for him.
Yeah.
Excellent.
He went full bard.
Yeah. I thought this is interesting. Here's a picture. It's hard to tell what's going on underneath here, but those bolt heads have a little bit of metal on them. That metal you can see is scratched off of that piece of metal on the left. That's my aluminum drive shaft. So I was flexed out to some point where the drive shaft is coming in contact with the bracket, the bolts in the bracket for the skid plate. So I think I need to get underneath there with a grinder and trim those a little shorter. And this part is really embarrassing because this was on a blue trail and I must have just been humping along a little bit too quick, but I hooked my skid plate on a rock and it just yanked it. It just yeeted it from underneath my truck right onto the ground. And
That looks like my old skid plate, except
The
less.
best part is I was like, hey, something just fell off your truck. And you're like, uh-huh. And you just kept driving. I was like, no, like a large chunk of metal fell off. You need to come back.
I felt it go ka-chunk, but I'm like, I just hit something with a skid plate or an A-arm or something.
So I'm not the
but
only one that
yeah.
recognizes how Aaron drives. Actually, isn't there a video of that? Of how fast he drives?
Oh, I'm sure there's lots of video of that. This is back in the staging area. You can see the dirt is so fine it's almost sandy, but this is where we're airing back up. So this is in the campground area. And here's a couple more pictures of Coy climbing that rock ledge. This is, I believe, Trail 16, which is a a black diamond trail. More black diamond. It's also black diamond. You can see the Mickey Thompson squishing there. I think most of our pictures would be from the black diamond because they were the most interesting portions. I don't remember. I think this is the one. This is just a different angle. This is where I hooked my exhaust on that one. Mark says I need to check rock protection light on the underside or on my dashboard. I completely agree. I got a couple more videos here, or a couple more. I've got some videos to show here. So this first one is Coy. Actually, I don't have any videos of me. So this first one.
I think so. Yeah, goose it. Let's see what happens.
For the audio listeners,
Give
Coy
it some
is
beans.
at a
You're almost over that
35
rock.
degree
Back
angle.
it up. Back it up.
climbing up
That's
a rock
good
ledge.
right there. Now goose it. You're so close. Back it up
He's
again.
got a
Keep going.
large rock in
right
front
there,
of
right there.
passenger tire that he's trying to bump.
Give it
himself
those
up
same
and over.
beans. 10% more beans. Yeah.
There he goes. He just popped up and over it.
You're clear the rest of the way.
In several spots on it to varying degrees of success. It makes it even more challenging because it's a solid rock ledge, but it's like a soft loam dirt right up to it. So you easily dig holes with your back tires, which then just makes it that much more challenging.
So you were muted while the video was going, Coy. You have to unmute yourself for videos, but I heard the tail end of that.
Oh, I was just saying one thing about this that makes it more challenging on these ledges that you and I tried, both with varying degrees of success, is that the sandy loam, real fine dirt just goes right up to solid rock. So as you try to climb that, if you spin your back tires at all, which you will, it really likes to just dig holes there and then make it that much harder.
Yeah. The next video here is just me following Coy on the way home. And here we go. What'd you think of that, Ben?
The hum of
Aaron's
tires.
not used to
Tires.
he's not used to that no sway bar life.
No, he's not. I love that no sway bar life. And these really stiff rear or really soft rear springs for me really lends to that, because as I turn a corner, it's like I have no rear sway bar, because that's the one I've kept, because I was like, oh, that'll help me. Not with these springs.
So for the audio listeners, that was a 8-second clip of me following Coy as we're driving home on Santiam Pass, which is really curvy going up over Mountain Pass, and his FJ is leaning real hard. I shot that video, and I sent it to Coy, and he responded back something like, "Oh, I know it's leaning really hard. I'm the one driving it."
You don't have to tell me. I was there.
Yep. So that was pretty funny. I imagine that my truck probably looks the same from behind going around these corners, because I don't have any sway bars on my truck anymore either. So, and that's without a rooftop tent up high. I guess one last thing I want to mention, and we already mentioned it once before, but we met John from Overland Pacific Northwest and Steve from Air Down Overland, and those guys, we don't have any pictures of us wheeling with him, but in this rock ledge that Coy's climbing in the background photo, that's kind of where we ran into them at, and they were working on climbing up that rock ledge, and once they got up, we gave it a try and had a little bit of fun with that. So,
and
yeah,
John posted a video of their whole review of that. You should go subscribe to that channel and watch that. They kind of do a little beginner rock course, how to traverse it, and it's actually a pretty good video. It's 10-15 minutes long and has them doing some stuff. We kind of join them at the end just for a minute.
Yeah.
Super nice guys. Support their channel.
Yeah, check them out. Well, that's it for the Cline Butte Trail review. If you guys listening think of anything, any questions, any thoughts or ideas, like you guys should talk about this, or any suggestions on things to add to the trail review, or if part of that was just too boring, you don't want to hear it, let us know about that too. We want to kind of get this refined so that we can keep using this format in the future for all the stuff that we do when we go wheeling.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely write in if you have any ideas on improvement or whatever you may think it needs, or questions you want to add. And big thanks to everyone who listens to us weekly and those who watch us live on YouTube. It was great having all you guys in the comments tonight. And we really appreciate you. Share us with our friends, your friends, help us grow so that they can become our friends. And next week, we will be talking about off-road pranks. I'm sure there's half the show will be of what's been done to me.
Lovingly, us expressing our super friendship to you.
Super friendship.
Yeah.
So you guys have a wonderful week, and God bless America.
Don't forget to visit Patriot Patch and join the Patch of the Month Club. Check out our Gaia affiliate link for up to 40% off. Also, don't forget to head over to Warren Medical Gear Outfitters and Colby Valve to see all their great gear. We're a proud part of the Firearms Radio Network. Got a comment or question? Send it to us through our webpage at firearmsradio.net or through our social media channels by searching for Off-Road Podcast. Also, you can listen to us live at overlandradio.com Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific. When off-road, please remember to have fun, tread lightly, be safe, and courteous. Thanks for listening.
I almost forgot to do that part at the end.